In 1938, a machine appeared on American construction sites that looked completely impossible. It had no tracks, just two colossal rubber tires, and it could swallow an entire hillside in seconds while moving at a blistering 25 miles per hour. This was the self-propelled motor scraper, a machine that defied the entire engineering establishment. At a time when heavy industry believed that moving earth required slow, heavy steel tracks, this machine changed the rules. It was the brainchild of R.G. LeTourneau, a mad genius with no formal engineering degree who claimed his primary business partner was God himself. He didn't just build a better scraper, he engineered a revolution powered by electricity and steel. This is the story of how LeTourneau's electric monsters single-handedly carved modern America, changed the face of warfare, and sparked a bitter shadow war with Caterpillar right in the heart of Peoria, Illinois. To understand the magnitude of LeTourneau's disruption, we have to look at the world he was trying to fix. In the early decades of the 20th century, the Industrial Revolution was booming, but civil engineering was facing a massive roadblock. Moving the earth was still an agonizingly primitive process. The concept of the earth scraper wasn't new. For generations, contractors used simple steel buckets dragged by horses or early steam-powered tractors. But these machines were incredibly weak. To lower the blade or dump the soil, an operator had to stand up, risking his life to manually haul heavy iron levers. It was slow, dangerous, and back-breaking labor. The physics of earth moving were fundamentally stuck. If a scraper hit a hidden boulder, the mechanical shock would snap wooden frames or throw the operator clean off the machine. Contractors were caught in a vicious cycle. To build the massive roads and dams that a growing nation demanded, they needed bigger machines. But bigger machines meant more weight, and more weight meant sinking into the mud. By the 1930s, mega projects like the Hoover Dam were pushing existing tech to its absolute breaking point. Steam shovels could dig and trucks could haul, but the process in between was a logistical nightmare. The entire industry was waiting for a massive leap forward, a leap that the established manufacturers said was impossible, until a self-taught mechanic from California looked at the problem and decided to reinvent the wheel. The solution didn't come from a boardroom in Detroit or a major corporate lab. It came from a small workshop in California. R.G. LeTourneau was a self-taught mechanic with a radical philosophy. He believed that traditional mechanical gears were obsolete. To conquer the earth, he needed a force that was fast, precise, and infinitely flexible: electricity. In 1922, LeTourneau built his first prototype. While the entire industry relied on muscle and stiff iron bars, he did something crazy. He used electricity, mounting electric motors to control the scraper's blades, powered by a generator on the tractor. A single operator could now control everything from his seat. But the electrical technology of the 1920s wasn't ready for the brutal dampness and dust of earth moving. The motors were too slow and fragile. So LeTourneau pivoted to a different kind of steel genius. To create a faster bulletproof system, LeTourneau bypassed electricity and invented the Power Control Unit, or PCU, in 1928. Instead of rigid steel gears or fragile motors, this unit, mounted directly to the back of a Caterpillar tractor, used a groundbreaking system of high-tensile steel cables. By the time the legendary Carryall scraper debuted in the early 1930s, this cable-driven alliance between LeTourneau and Caterpillar was ready to reshape the face of the earth. But LeTourneau wasn't done. he realized that pulling a heavy scraper with slow steel tracks was holding his inventions back. In 1938, he engineered his masterpiece, the Tournapull. By removing the tracks and engineering a radical two-wheeled self-propelled cockpit that rode on impossibly giant rubber tires, he changed the speed of construction forever. The scraper could now run across a site at a blistering 25 miles per hour, a speed that left Caterpillar's traditional tractors literally in the dust. As the 1930s drew to a close, the unprecedented success of the Carryall scraper forced R.G. LeTourneau to make a strategic decision. To optimize the shipping of his machines alongside Caterpillar's tractors, he moved his main manufacturing operation from California to Peoria, Illinois. LeTourneau built his legendary factory right in the heart of Caterpillar country, just minutes away from their headquarters. It was a partnership built on unprecedented efficiency, but it was about to become a neighborly nightmare. Behind the shared balance sheets, a bitter cultural war was brewing. Caterpillar was a conservative, engineering-first corporation that worshipped mechanical perfection and raw diesel torque. LeTourneau was a radical inventor, a high school dropout obsessed with speed, rubber tires, and the almost magic force of electricity. This exact combination had successfully reshaped the American landscape during the New Deal era, but LeTourneau knew that mechanical gears were a dead end. The introduction of his self-propelled Tournapull scraper in 1938 was the final straw. The Tournapull changed everything. By making the steel-tracked tractor unnecessary for earthmoving, LeTourneau had simultaneously perfected his own machine and destroyed Caterpillar's business model for scrapers. The partnership turned into a shadow war right on the streets of Peoria. Caterpillar dealers were torn between selling the traditional, slow, but reliable Cat setup, or the radical, electric, and 25-mile-per-hour Tournapull. In 1942, Caterpillar made their move, formally cutting ties with LeTourneau and starting development on their own competitive line of motorized scrapers. The battle for the future of earthmoving had begun. The corporate fight was fierce, but LeTourneau wasn't worried. While Caterpillar's boardroom stewed, the world was plunging into darkness. In December 1941, the attack on Pearl Harbor changed the priorities of Peoria forever. By 1942, the entire production capacity of R.G. LeTourneau Incha was requisitioned for a project even bigger than the American highway system. To win a global war, the U.S. Army needed machines that could build empires faster than the enemy could destroy them, and they needed the speed of rubber tires. When the United States entered the War Production Board realized that victory depended on logistics. Armies couldn't advance without airfields, and supplies couldn't land without roads. Virtually overnight, R.G. LeTourneau's commercial plants were synchronized for total war. Between 1941 and 1945, his factories produced over 30,000 heavy units for the war effort. It is estimated that LeTourneau single-handedly manufactured nearly 95% of all heavy earth-moving equipment used by the Allies. The core of this mechanical army was the civilian technology LeTourneau had already perfected. And in a twist of historical irony, the global war forced a sudden truce in Peoria. Attached to the legendary U.S. Navy Seabees, LeTourneau's specialized cable-controlled bulldozer blades were mounted directly onto Caterpillar's heavy-tracked tractors. The two bitter rivals were forced to work hand-in-hand for the war effort, creating a tactical weapon. In the Pacific Theater, where naval battles turned into a race to build airfields, These hybrid monsters could carve a functional fighter strip out of raw jungle coral in less than 24 hours. But the ultimate test of survival didn't happen in the tropics. It happened in the frozen north. In 1942, fearing a Japanese invasion of Alaska, the military ordered the construction of the Alaska-Canada Highway, a grueling 1,600-mile military supply route engineered through uncharted wilderness. The terrain was a nightmare of frozen permafrost and deceptive deep swamps known as muskeg. Heavy trucks and standard tractors sank straight to their axles, threatening to freeze the entire project in place. Once again, LeTourneau's oversized rubber tires and flexible steel cables saved the mission. Because his scrapers could distribute weight across massive ground areas, they didn't sink. They carved through frozen mountain ridges and hauled millions of tons of gravel to stabilize the subbase. The ALCAN highway, projected to take years using old methods, was opened to military traffic in just 8 months. LeTourneau's machines hadn't just outperformed Caterpillar's traditional design, they had written the playbook for modern global military logistics. With the war won, the temporary truce in Peoria evaporated. R.G. LeTourneau returned to his obsession with colossal scale, inventing massive overland trains and electric drive scrapers. But the era of the solo genius mechanic was coming to an end. In 1953, LeTourneau sold his earth-moving business to WWII Co. Decades later, that legendary manufacturing plant on the shores of Peoria Lake would be acquired by Komatsu, Caterpillar's fiercest modern global competitor. By a twist of industrial fate, LeTourneau's original facility remains a hostile neighbor to the giant from Peoria to this very day. While LeTourneau's independent name faded, Caterpillar played the long corporate game. The conservative manufacturer took the concept of the motorized scraper and perfected it for the modern era through relentless refinement and industrial power. Today, the shadow war of Peoria is long over. Caterpillar completely dominates the global scraper market. If you visit any massive infrastructure project, mining site, or highway expansion on Earth, the machines moving millions of tons of earth are wearing the iconic yellow paint. The steel cables may have been replaced by high-pressure hydraulics, but the fundamental physics of scraping, hauling, and ejecting earth are exactly what LeTourneau engineered in his small workshop. Caterpillar won the commercial war, but R.G. LeTourneau won the engineering future. Every highway we drive on is a monument to their bitter, brilliant rivalry. While LeTourneau's scrapers built the infrastructure of victory, there was another hybrid weapon born from the Peoria rivalry that did something even more impossible. A machine so vital that General Dwight Eisenhower named it one of the most critical tools for winning the war, yet history completely overlooked it. Click on the video on your screen right now to discover the bulldozer that won World War II. Thanks for watching and subscribe to Heavy Machines Era. There's a lot more ground to cover.